Hey guys, welcome to another JavaScript lesson. I hope the journey is quite exciting as you're practicing and making a lot of errors and correcting yourselves. So normally there's no perfect code on this earth. You would always find bugs everywhere. So you just need to be attentive while debugging your code and you're going to make it further. So now we are going to be looking at JavaScript loops. And for JavaScript loops, we have been making use of loops already. So you should be familiar with some kind of loops, like the for loop. We have already made use of it. Yes, we have made use of the for loop already. So in JavaScript, we have basically three types of loop, like the most used, in short, the most fundamental loops. You have the for loop, you have the while loop, and then the do while loop. So those are basically the most used, even in all programming languages. Those are the most used loops. You have the for, the while, and the do while, and we are going to be seeing the differences between those loops in a couple of seconds ahead. So, but what is a loop? A loop in Java, a loop is you can't say it's a thing, but yeah, a loop is what is actually used to run a block of code repeatedly. So you use loops to run a block of code repeatedly. Oh, it could be a single line of code though. Yeah, so you run it repeatedly. So you run, in short, that's it. That's just it about loops. For example, if you want to keep on saying hi 5 times, you see that you'll be strenuous. Or let's say hi 5 times, right? Yeah, it'll be easy to just do console log or alert hi 5 times. But what if your program requires you to alert hi 1,000 times? Will you write 1,000 lines of code saying alert hi, alert hi, alert hi? No, that's going to be very strenuous. So that's where the importance of loops come in. For loops now, just by one statement, or just by just very few lines of code, when I say very few, like 3 lines of code, you can implement that you can implement loop and say hi 1,000 times just with 4 lines of code. Yes, 4 lines of code you implement, you say hi 1,000 times, even a million times, or whatsoever number of times you want to say hi. You can't do that. So you see that it saves us the stress of manually typing or manually performing things uh, by ourselves. So since we already had a look at the for loop, we are just going to explain how the for loop works and maybe just create a simple array. Here we are going to make use of an array because that's the best means we can use to explain the loops very well. So let's first of all look at their syntax. Yeah, so we're just basic editing now. So it's going to be, for loop, you have the for, you have statement 1 semicolon, statement 2 semicolon, statement 3. Then after that you open a loop, then you have your block of code here. So this is the for loop. So this is the for loop. The block of code, you end with semicolon, right? Oh, each line of code ends with a semicolon. So this is a block of code. So you for statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. So what is statement 1? Statement 1 is executed once. That is like initialization. You initialize where you begin counting from. So it does that just once. Then statement 2 defines the condition for the execution of the block of code. So this statement 2 is like the condition for this block of code to run. The condition take note, the condition. So this is like the initialization. This is the which is run just once. This is the condition, and then this is executed every time and at the end of the execution of this block of code. So this one is like, for example, if you are incrementing, you include here, you put here incrementing, like I plus plus or plus plus I. Yeah. So here you are incrementing. So this is executed only at the end of this the execution of this block of code. So these two will work. As these two will be working, the block of code will run, then this one will be executed later on. Like we saw in our previous lesson where we were talking about looping over arrays. You saw it, right? So that's just basically what the for loop does. Let's look at the while loop. For the while loop, you just have while, you have a condition, and then block of code. Oh, this is block. Okay, you see how a while loop is, right? So a while loop, this is how easy it is. You just have while, the keyword while, then you have the condition, then you have the block of code, and so it is going to be running like that till that condition. Why? As long as that condition is fulfilled, the block of code is going to be running. It's going to keep on running. And if you notice, there are sometimes where you have to add maybe I plus plus, maybe if you are counting up, yeah, counting up, incrementing by 1, you do I plus plus. So while that condition is not yet fulfilled, it's going to be running. While the condition is still active, still valid, it's going to be running and then incrementing a certain value while this while. So we are going to be seeing that in our example. Then you have the do while loop. You have the do dot 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 while. So that's just basically how it is written. For the do while loop, you do the block of code. You do the block of code while the condition is still valid. You see, right? So this is the basic difference between the while and the while loop. The while loop checks the condition before executing the block of code, whereas the do while loop first of all does it before checking the condition. So that's the basic difference between these two. We are going to be looking at the differences in our example. So let's clear this rubbish and see how we can implement our example. So let's create an array of numbers, var numbers. Let's say 1 to 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oops, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10. So this is our loop array, sorry. So this is our array. Let us make use of the for loop. Make use of the for loop. So for what are we initializing? Let's first of all define our iteration variable var I and initialize it to 0. You can see var I and then you don't initialize it, it's still okay. So let's do for I equal to 0. And what is our condition? Our condition should be that I, let's say I should be less than 5. I less than 5, semicolon. Then what should be executed at the end of the execution of a block of code? Let's add increment I by 1. And what block of code should we implement? The console.log I. Oh, sorry, I. So this is just a very simple loop That means it loops from I equals 0, I index 0, like you see, it loops from I index 0. Oh, sorry, we are not printing I, we are printing numbers I. Oh my goodness. So that it should print if you are printing I, then it's just going to print I 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's not what I want to print. We want to print the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we console.log numbers.I, numbers with index I. So this I is going to be incremented. You move from 0 I, number 0 is 1, numbers 1 is 2, numbers 2 is 3, number 3 is 4, number 4 is 5. So it's going to start from I equals 0 to I equal to 4, which is less than 5, of course. So let us save that and refresh that. Let's check on our console. More tools, developer tools. Oh, what's going on? Okay, the console, you see, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has printed the way we wanted. See, right? That's how easy the for loop is. I think we should write a message here. Let's say console.log let's say this is the implementation of the for loop. Let's save that and try to refresh. Oops. You know, we have to put it out of the loop because it's going to keep on printing that every time we are in the loop. So we have to put it out so that it prints it just once. Alright. There you have it. Looks beautiful, right? This is the implementation of the for loop. So the for loop is going to implement this. So this is the for loop. I'm making it so I should be visible enough so I can easily identify that this is where we implemented the for loop. Let's go to the while loop. To the while loop, let's comment and say making use of the while loop. So we console.log this is the implementation of the while loop. So let's implement it while. Let's do something similar that will make the while loop different from this. From the while I is less than 10, that will be different from the do while loop. I equal to I plus 1. You know, there are several methods of writing this, but let's just stick with this one. So I think we should print it at the end, right? Console.log I. Yeah, let's print it at the end. So that is going to print all of this at the end. Let's save that and then refresh. Okay, this is the implementation of the while loop. Wait a minute, 10. What has it done actually? Okay, look at this very well. You see while I is less than 10, I equal to I plus 1. So we are not, this is not indices. We are not looping over any index here because we haven't made use of the array numbers with the index in bracket to show that we are using indices. Here we are just using I, and initially it is 0. So we start from 0 and 0 is less than 10, so it adds 1 to it. It goes to 1, it adds 1 to it. So I is now 1, still less than 10, it adds another 1, that's 2. It has 2, right? So 2 is still less than 10, adds another 1. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 till it reaches 10. So that's basically what it is. Let's do for the do while loop. Let's just copy this to make our work easier and paste. Making use of the do while loop. Implementation of the do while loop. So let's eliminate this condition from here and we put it at the end. Then we do this do. So what is it going to do? Do I equal to I plus 1 while I is less than 10. So here it has added from 0 to less than 10. From 0 to 9 it has just been adding while I is less than 10. When I is 9 it's still less than 10, right? So it adds 1 again before it prints out the final output and you have it 10. So but here is going to initially add 1 while then check if it's less than 10, add again before checking, add again before checking. So let's save and see our result. Let's refresh. There you have it, 11. You now see the difference between the while loop and the do while loop, right? And look at this. For the while loop, it first of all checks the condition. It starts from 0, it adds 1 before checking the condition again. 1 is still less than 10. 1 is less than 10. It adds 1 again, is 2. Check less than 10. Adds 3. Till by the time it's reaching 9 and I is 9, it's still less than 10. It adds 1. But here, I is 0. It just adds 1 automatically. While I is less than 10, 1 is less than 10. Adds 2. Adds 1 again, 2, less than 10. So when I is 9, when I is I think when I is let's say 9, when I is, because you reach at one point where I will be 10, I will be 10 here. So when I is 10, you have 10 plus 1. You see, right? Because it does the action before checking the condition. So I will exceed 10 or will be 10. I will be 10. Then you add the 1 before checking the condition and seeing that it's false, then it exits. But here it has to check, it's strict. It checks, notices that it's already less than 10. Once it adds here and it's 10 and it's trying to come back, no, the loop breaks and then it prints out the value. But here, once I is here, once I is it doesn't do that. It executes this block of code before even checking the condition. So that's why you have here 11 and you have 10. So that has been it, guys, and I hope you have at least grabbed something, though some of you might already know about loops, but this video should remind you or maybe teach the newbies about the loops. And that has been it for loops, and thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel Tricoder. You are going to learn amazing coding from us and we provide you with the best. So thank you guys once more and see you in the next lesson. Bye.